Welcome to the High Impact Man podcast. High impact men from across the nation sharing their stories of inspiration, encouragement, and hope.
Gosh, seek transformational relationships.
What you're hearing from the culture is not right.
Pick up the six, you know what I mean? But you never know who your six sometimes is.
Stop being less.
To help others become the virtuous leaders they are called to be and that our nation desperately needs.
Hey, y'all out there in F3 podcast land and all those across the ocean who should be tuning in now. Since just last week you listened to, well, I don't know how these drop in order. Maybe it'll be next week. But anyway, we're hoping that the people in the United Kingdom are tuning in because we either have had Sticks on last week or next week will be on from the United Kingdom. But another episode of the High Impact Man podcast coming your way. I'm Nevin Gorky. I'm known as D-Fib to the men of F3, and I'm joined by Dial-Up. He's known his real name is Troy Klinger. We are coming to you from the cold north central Pennsylvania area, and our guest today is none other than the nation's weasel shaker coming on the High Impact Man podcast to shake some weasels, Mr. Woodchuck. Not just Woodchuck, Mr. Woodchuck. And he's coming to us from Jacksonville, right? Jacksonville, Florida?
That's right, Jacksonville, Florida.
All right. Tell everybody your real name, bro.
So, John Olson, 54, Mr. Woodchuck.
Mr. Woodchuck. All right.
Mr. Woodchuck.
You know, that caused me a problem because when I was trying to contact you via the Nation Slack channel, I just put in Woodchuck, and there is a Woodchuck out there, and I didn't put in Mr. Woodchuck, so I was having a conversation with Woodchuck, and I thought I was having a conversation with Mr. Woodchuck until we finally figured it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. So Dial-Up, he's just so y'all know, we're working on improving our looks here because Dial-Up is making me order some kind of ring light. And, I don't think it's the lighting, Dial-Up. But anyway, maybe we'll look better in the future.
I just got this weird, it's the ceiling fan light in this room, but we're going to get ring lights and it'll just make our eyes pop. And just give a smoother look to our skin, hide blemishes, and just make us look a little bit more bright and cheery. Less jaundice that I look like right now.
We all look forward to that. I don't know if my eyes could pop through my readers. I can't see the computer screen without my readers, and they just reflect light. I got a bunch of reflection. Yeah. All right.
You can't function in the podcast without those? It's that bad?
If I do this, you guys are all blurry. Do I look better like this? Is this better?
It does look better.
All right. Well, then I'll take them off. All right.
Yeah,
no more.
I take mine off. I can see enough without my readers for the podcast until I go to look at notes or anything like that in the bios. But then I got to.
If I was about here, you look a little clear, but this close, not so much. All right. Well, Woodchuck, welcome to the podcast. I guess Dial-Up and I are going to play a little game and figure out how Mr. Woodchuck got his name. And Dial-Up has admitted before this that he's been in a slump. I've never been out of the slump from the beginning of us doing this, so I'm really bad at it. But you got anything, man?
Oh, I don't think his bio said anything about working in any type of wood-related business.
Yeah,
but that's where I'm going. Hearing a little bit of where he's lived, he hasn't worked in any place that would be good and like known for timbering or anything like that. So I'm gonna go with I'm just gonna go with he works in the forestry industry, giving estimates on people's land and the timbering that can occur and how much they would be able to get out of their land.
All right,
that's very specific.
Yeah, it is. Could be some money in there.
Man.
You have to look into that.
Oh,
I my feeling is at about 99.9% that I am nowhere close. But that's all good. It still made for a decent story and interpretation.
It did.
Yeah. So what do you got?
The crowd, I'm sure the crowd was riveted. I have no bloody idea. With Mr. in front of Woodchuck sounds like it's a character, but I don't know any character named Mr. Woodchuck. It's probably a character somewhere. But I'm going to go with this. You spent some time in Carolina, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, there's Buc-ee's all over there. You probably had a Buc-ee's t-shirt when you first posted, and somebody said, look at that Woodchuck. And so
did you just hit a home run?
I don't know. Did I?
No.
Woodchuck.
You're on the right track with a character. You're on the right track with a character.
So tell
That
us the
sounded
truth.
really good. I thought you might have like pulled that one out of your wazoo right there with the bookies.
Not so much.
What's
All right,
the
Mr.
carry?
Woodchuck.
All right, so it's last name is Olson. So I was EH'd up in North Carolina. Was named in North Carolina with my brother. My brother's nickname is Full House. He's an Olson. So the
Mm-hmm.
Olsen twins from the show Full House.
Yeah.
So his nickname's Full House. When I got up there, it was a big circle, and guys are like, "Oh, you're Full House's brother. We got to do something." They didn't want to hear anything I had in my backstory. So it went to, okay, so Uncle Joey or Cousin Joey, whoever it's his, character was, he was a comedian and a ventriloquist.
Oh, right, Mr.
And his
Woodchuck,
his
the
ventriloquist dummy
dummy.
was named Mr. Woodchuck. Yeah, you're on the track. You're on the right track.
Mr.
Yep.
Woodchuck. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Are
was
they
it.
saying were they saying you're a dummy? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. We didn't stick around too long to find out. I was ready to roll.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Well, all right. So you're coming to us from the warm state of Florida now, but and we'll ask you about to share your story. But first, tell us how you got involved with F3. Like who EH'd you? When did it happen? How long you been doing it?
So it was back in March of 2019. My brother, I had just started running probably about a year and a half before that, and my brother wanted to do his first half marathon, and I was here in Florida. I'm like, hey, I'm coming. I will be there to run with you. And so I went up there, and he's like, yeah. I was like, who you been training with? And asking him a question about how it's going. He's like, well, I'm training with these guys that, when they're a great group of guys, but you know, they do some stuff that's a little weird. And when you show up, they're probably going to give you a funny name, and you're gonna be the FNG. And of course, I go to the not the right F. I went
Right.
to
Yeah.
So no, he's like, no, it's friendly new guy. I said, okay, great. I was like, I said, whatever, let's go do it. And so it was great. There really wasn't an EHing like per se. It was, hey, just come and let's do this. And it was great. The event right before the marathon, they had a fella. My brother posted in South of Week. There's a fella there battling ALS, and they did a run with him because he couldn't run the whole half marathon. So they did. I think it was a mile. I can't remember if it was a mile or a 5K that they did with him. And so I got to participate in that. And I was like, man, this is really cool. All these guys supporting this one fella to still try to stay healthy and get after it. And got up the next morning, went to the race, and there are shovel flags. I couldn't even count how many shovel flags there were. And then there must have been 50 people in the circle doing a warm-orama. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And so we started, doing everything in cadence, and we started drawing people that weren't, all kinds of people just there for the race to come in and do the warm up with us. And I was like, man, that is really cool. And then after the race, I got named. I was like, well, I'm in. This is great.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you got named when you were visiting Carolina. Then you moved back. You
Correct.
went back to Florida. So you're in
Yeah.
Jacksonville. They got a pretty good region there, right?
That's right. Yeah. I got connected with, there was a fella in Raleigh, the Raleigh area, that actually knew somebody in Jacksonville. So he got me connected with the guy in Jacksonville. I went to my first workout. He's like, I'll meet you there. It'll be great. See you at 5:30. So okay. It was right down the street. I went there, nowhere to be seen. Never showed up. I was like, great. So I wound up working out with two other guys, and they're like, who are you? How did you get here? That whole story. I can't believe you found this. This is great. Let's do it. So yeah, so I got connected with the guys down here, and they're just this whole the one region is now 3, and it's just going crazy.
Yeah, sweet. Did you guys have a few years ago in Jacksonville some kind of big fitness event that a bunch of F3 guys went down to? What was that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
So there's a it was called the Kraken. We do the It's a CSOP we do every year called the Kraken. And then there's also it's the GoRuck is here in Jacksonville, and so they put on a fitness festival downtown, which was cool.
Yeah, right.
And they did that for a couple of years. And Dark Helmet came down, and
Right.
I can't remember who else. I think Slaughter came down, a couple other guys. A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Woodchuck, we'll come back to your F3 story. So let's get you to tell your story now. Where did you grow up? What was life like you when you were a little woodchuck?
Well, when I was a wee little woodchuck, we lived and kind of bounced around a little bit. My dad was in the Vietnam War, was born in Tampa, actually. So I'm kind of coming back to my roots here. And then once he got out, most of my family was from the Northeast. So my dad grew up in just outside of Philly. Mom grew up in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So they kind of moved back there. We kind of settled there for a bit until Dad found a job with Rite Aid. So it's one of the larger drugstore chains in the country at the time. He took a job that took us to Syracuse, New York. So we stayed there for several years, and Mom did not like the cold. I mean, it's snow central up there, all that lake effect snow you get off the lake, and so we were there for a few years, and then took a job down in North Carolina, and so that kind of got us down south in 1980. And so we were there for my family's been there ever since. They're still there now. My brother, sister, and parents live in the Raleigh area. I went to school out in Greensboro, and we had left for about a year and a half after we graduated. So like the mid 90s, graduated, and my girlfriend at the time put a ring on her finger and said, "I want to move to Pennsylvania." And so we moved to Pennsylvania to see what was out there, and got up to Pennsylvania and stayed in Harrisburg for about a year and a half. Got married in Hershey, which was really kind of fun. And it was really, Harrisburg wasn't for us, but the location of where Harrisburg was really great because it's smack dab in the south central part of the state. You know, you're a couple hours to Baltimore, a couple hours to Philly, a few hours from the city. So you really could, and the road system was pretty good that, you know, once you got on the turnpikes and, you know, got to the major feeders, you know, highways, I mean, you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was really pretty neat. So we saw a lot of cool parts of the country we never would have saw.
Yeah, you got married in Chocolate Town.
Chocolate Town, yep.
Yeah, Chocolate Town, USA, baby.
Yep.
Hershey Park, by the way, for people that have never been to Hershey Park, it is a really nice park. I've been there in a few years, but it's got a lot of really cool roller coasters. If you like roller coasters, it's a good park. But it's also really clean. It's like a mini Disney. It's, you know, so clean and well run. Anyway, shout out for Hershey Park there, a little Hershey Park. Maybe we get sponsored by Hershey Kisses.
There you go.
High Impact Man.
I'd be okay
This
with
episode of the High Impact Man brought to you by Hershey. All right. So were you athletic in school?
A little bit, yeah. I played soccer mostly, soccer, golf, did some basketball, played a little rugby in college. That was a very short-lived stint. I just tried to be the fastest guy and stayed away from the scrums, so I was always out on the always out on the edge. But yeah, mostly soccer, soccer and golf was probably the big things. And then I really didn't start. I think I started running back in, it was 2013 when I started running. That's
Really?
been my jam ever since.
What made you decide to start running?
Well, funny story. My wife came to me and said, "Hey, I want to train for and run a 5K." I said, "Great, have fun." And she went to the local running store and signed herself up and came home and said, "Hey, I got signed up for this thing. First meeting is next week, and I signed you up too." It's like, great.
Yeah.
So that was it. And now it's a problem because I just haven't stopped. And, you know, it's something that we always, wherever we're going, we're always trying to figure out where we want to go run or the next great race to go to, or, you know, it's always something in the back of our minds.
Yeah.
So your wife is still running too?
Planned.
She kind of is. She took some time off for injuries, and now she's back doing it again. Yeah, so she's better at least with doing cross training. I'm not. I tend just to run and kind of don't do the stretching and you know, cross training I should do. I think I'm still in my 20s and I'm going to recover quickly, but I'm not that smart.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah. Stretching. What the heck is that?
Yeah,
That's right.
I've been
That's right.
after a few hamstring injuries, I've tried to do better, but I still don't do
Yeah.
well.
It's so hard. So
Yeah.
hard.
My
So
goodness.
you're a running family then? Do you guys like when you go on vacation, it's based upon maybe a race or something like that? Or if you're on vacation, you look to see if there's a race you could do?
Oh, always looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always looking.
Yeah.
I've got two 2.0s, 25 and 22, both girls, and I've got one of them hooked. The other one is not quite there yet, um, but yeah, definitely my wife and I, when we're traveling, because we don't have the girls as much anymore, but yeah, we are looking for those races and always checking to see what's in town, and doing some of those racecations too, which is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
got a
cool.
2.0 recent college grad. She's in PA school. She's 24. And her and one of her classmates are doing the Cleveland Marathon in May, which
Okay,
means that I'm now doing the Cleveland Marathon in May. Well,
that'll be fun.
we
That'll be
are
fun.
bring me out of marathon retirement.
There you go.
It'll be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your what distance do you usually race? What do you like the most?
I heard the episode with Huckleberry, and I have to agree that the half marathon is really spot on. I think that's a really he was really dead on with it. 2 hours, you can still function during the day. So yeah, I like a half, but lately I've been doing marathon and longer, which is has its own, you know, it's its own thing. I love and hate it at the same time. Um, but yeah, so lately I've been doing marathon and longer.
How much so if you're doing half marathons versus if you're doing a marathon or ultra, how much more mileage do you do? Like how much do you kind of tailor your training to each of those?
Well, it's funny. As I've been doing marathon and longer, I don't the 13 mile that can be like a training run. So it's when you're going that far. So it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to train because I'm not so much like I can always feel like I can run 13 miles and it not be that big of a deal. Now, if I want to race it, that's different. I've got to put in the speed work. I've got to do kind of mix up my do some tempo runs, do some other things if I really want to race it. But if I just want to run it and have a good time with friends, then it's one of those things where I'll just I'm kind of trained up to a point where I can just kind of go and run it, type of thing.
All right. Runners, they're crazy. We
Yeah,
get a lot of
I
them on
know.
this darn
We could
podcast.
we could talk all day long.
Did you do any ultras? Sounds like you said you did longer than marathon.
I just did the JFK 50 back in November of last year, which was pretty awesome. And then I'm actually going to be in your neck of the woods at the end of May at World's End State Park. I'm doing the World's End 50K.
Oh, very cool.
So up that way.
All right.
That's probably oh my goodness, Uno's brother. What do we name him? Can't think of what it was. He came to one beatdown with.
Yeah, I don't remember
Dose.
either.
He dose trail 4. Now he coordinates a lot of the trail races up here in central
Okay.
and kind of northern PA up in like Clinton County area, that area. Well, not Clinton County where you're talking, but anyway, coordinates a lot of the trail races. So I bet you that's one that he puts on as
Okay.
well.
Yeah. Excited.
Well, cool. Yeah, good luck. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it took me forever to find the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, but when I found it, it was kind of nice. The World's End, is World End near there? Is that up that way?
World's End is more like Ricketts Glen area, up in that neck of the woods, I think, right?
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Nah,
Now you got me doubting myself. Carry on, and I will.
our
I'll fire
crack
up the
research group is on it.
crackpot research group
Yep.
here.
Our crack research will get back to us on that. All right. So, have you done the Blue Ridge Relay?
Yes, several times. Love it.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, we did it 4 years ago, and Dial-Up's done it ever since then, 4 years in a row. Lowe's, a guy from Pennsylvania, from Indian Valley, he got a team together initially that we joined the first time. I did it that time. The second year I did not. The third year I did, and then this past year I did not. But Dial-Up's run all of them. I think he's deep into research, but I think they had a 9-man team. Is that right, Dial-Up?
This last year, 9-man team.
9-man team.
Correct.
Yeah, the other ones we did with 12-man teams. But Be interesting. Are you doing it this year?
I am doing it this year. We brought a 9-man team last year. We had 3 teams last year. We had two 12s and a 9-man that came from Jacksonville. And then we were on the 9-man. We were the Gloom Trotters.
All right.
And then, and so next year we will be the Plume Trotters again, but we're bringing 2 new guys. We're switching out 2 guys. So, yeah.
Cool. But that's the area that got hit hard by the floods in Carolina. So it'd be interesting for you guys to do that. I don't know if I'm going to join the boys this year as a van driver or whatever, but my distance running is over. But I might be able to be a chauffeur, I guess. Maybe we'll see.
We take you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
That's
to get a poll here. I think we definitely got like 6 guys. Then it's a matter of where we want to do 9-man.
All right.
Yeah, it's such a fun time.
It is a great time.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten lost?
No, not too bad. No, you guys?
Really? Dial up every year. Yeah.
No. Last year I did. I did take one wrong turn last year.
Yeah, every year.
But I ended up where I needed to be. Basically, I went straight and right instead of right and then straight. But I ended up
all right.
at the I had to get. I knew where I needed to go, but I did not see a sign that whenever you come in on whatever leg it is, the thing brings you into Blowing Rock. I got down.
Okay, that's tough in there.
I came down that big downhill, and then I got to the red light, and traffic was nuts. So I had to stand there, wait for traffic to clear, and then you must have had to cross the highway and go right, and then left up to where the Mellow Mushroom is, and I went straight and right to the Mellow Mushroom. But anyway, same distance, all worked out. I didn't cut any corners. I consider it legal.
There you go.
I got to where I needed to be. So
that's it.
I got the first year I got lost, but the second year I didn't. So happy to report that. But anyway, have fun at the Blue Ridge. That'd be pretty cool. It's always neat. And it's so many people that do that race. And I would say at least 75% are F3 guys.
Feels like it. There are a lot of F3 guys up there for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. They should, whoever runs the Blue Ridge Relay should give a big thank you out to F3 somehow, because they wouldn't have they would have less than half of what they have now. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got to ask you, man, first of all, did you hold any leadership positions in Jacksonville in F3?
No, I did. I kind of led the couple of CSOPs and that type of thing, and that's kind of how I ran into Dark Helmet.
Okay.
So he had come down for those and got the honor of driving him around during one of the CSOPs we had down here, and caught up to him at that Go Ruck event they had the following year, and had just made the comment of, hey, if you ever need anything at the nation level, I said, I'd be glad to pitch in and help you.
That's all it took.
And then so he's got a good memory. Got a real good memory.
He said, I need a Weasel shaker, and next thing you know, you're getting a call.
Yep.
Huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, tell everybody what a Weasel shaker does.
Well, he shakes weasels. Right. He's keeping things moving. For the SLT side, anyways, I'm making sure the agenda we're sticking to the agenda. We are staying on track. We are driving programs forward, holding guys accountable. Making sure that we are showing up on time, making sure that we are and making sure we're following up. Which can be a trick, because we all got day jobs, and we all have things that are floating around our lives that we've got to take care of, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get back to some of the other things that we need to do and move forward. So
yeah. All right. Well, if it's, as you know, Dial-Up and I are kind of leading the F3 podcast group right now, and it's like herding cats sometimes, getting these guys together to meet all at the same time, one way or another. Everyone's got busy lives, but sure. you even have more of a crew to try to gather and corral to get on the same page and have meetings and stuff like that.
I do have to ask, who schedules the meetings for the SLT for the nation? Do you do that?
Yes. So it's I think originally it was Helmet had the schedule going, and so I think it's actually still under his account technically. But yeah.
Because I do, when we get together for the podcast thing, I had a technical issue the first time, totally on me. I'll own that one. Last 2 meetings though, I've sent it out, and I just use Google Meet, right? Pretty straightforward, but for some reason, half the guys can get in without issue, but half the guys can't get in without issue. But I get the blame for the meeting setup, even though it works for some of the people and doesn't for the others. So,
Well, it's funny you say that because I had a Google
oh,
Meet meeting. Very similar thing happened, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, it's my fault." I was like, "Well,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Some guys can get in. Some guys had a problem, some
Was the
didn't."
Dark Helmet having trouble getting in?
I'm not going to name any names.
Oh, this is the way to go. I am texting the group right now and saying,
I think I'm going to get a text message here shortly.
We have.
I'll keep it a secret until a more opportune time. Too.
Oh, there you go. Great. Appreciate that.
And I won't
We have
reveal
discovered
our
a pattern.
Yeah.
There's a pattern of incompetence here. I don't know. Well, so the Nation's Weasel Shaker. How long have you been doing it?
It's been about a year.
Okay.
Actually, obviously, he asked me about a year ago.
All right. So tell us what's going on at the nation level. I mean, you got the finger on the pulse of F3 Nation.
Gosh.
You're on the SLT. You're the Weasel Shaker. You're shaking weasels for the nation. So what's next?
Give us some top secret information.
What's next? Well, Dark Helmet teased the some information on Slack about a meeting he had. That should be some good information coming up, some good stuff to put onto the website, onto the gear store. I mean, so that's some of that stuff's coming. I don't know if don't know what he's teased out and what I can tell and what I can't tell, but I don't know how public it is. But there is some cool stuff coming for the gear store. Let's see, what else do we have? Man, the guys with Freedom Ops and that whole thing going and rolling, that sounds like it's really exciting. I know Huckleberry's got his finger on the pulse of that too, and those guys are doing great work. We're always looking to tweak the website and make it as best as it can be. We're doing some work with the Lexicon, making that easier to use and upload information, and so we're doing that.
Seems like you got some good partnerships going with Spartan.
Yeah, there was some cool stuff going on with Spartan to get some guys to go and do that. Gosh, and there's so much stuff going on, but I can't think of anything else right now. That's kind of some big. That's some good stuff though. Some big stuff, anyways.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't give it all away.
Yeah.
Sure, he could. Listen. It's just the three of us talking. It's okay. It won't go any further than this.
Right.
At least not for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you do for a living?
So I am. I'm in the supply chain business. So I'm a supply chain purchasing guy. Been doing that ever since I was a young buyer when I got back from Pennsylvania. I started working with a little donut company called Krispy Kreme. Met a fellow that gave me a chance there at Krispy Kreme, and really turned into a really great mentor for me over the years. Really wasn't so much. It was a boss you really kind of looked up to. He really kind of helped you out, wanted to see you succeed and that type of thing. So I really learned a lot from him. And stayed with Krispy Kreme for a while, kind of bounced around, and got on with another bakery in Winston-Salem called Salem Baking. So the guys in the Triad area would probably know Salem Baking and Dewey's Bakery. They were starting to do some private label business, and so I was helping some guys do that for a few years. And we went out to the Outer Banks for vacation one year and said, "Hey, what do you think about moving towards the beach?" Because we love going out to the Outer Banks. That was one thing we've always, we've loved doing. And like, hey, there's this job in Jacksonville. What do you think about Jacksonville? And so in July of 2014, I had sent my resume in from the beach, got home, was interviewing in August, and by September 1st, I was in Jacksonville working for another food company. So it happened super fast. We sold the house, got down to Jacksonville, and within probably 6 months, I was just feeling it really just wasn't working out. It was, things were just kind of working against you. Kids having a hard time. This was well before F3. And my Em and I were really struggling, and it was a job that was 24/7 on call. I was 30, 40 minutes from the office, and she looked at me one day and just said, look, if you don't if you don't leave this company, then I'm moving back to North Carolina. And I said, okay, 10-4. And so I started sending resumes out, and within 2 weeks, I had another job. And now I'm not even in the food business anymore. We make collectibles, home decor, figurines, die-cast cars, all kinds of stuff. And I've been there for 10 years, and it's I've just kind of had it's been weird. I've had these things throughout my life that have happened. Just certain, a lot of us have these same big events that you remember in your life that really kind of steered you to go one way or another. That interaction with me and my wife really left the mark and put me on this track to have this job that provided an immense amount of stability, an immense amount of work-life balance, to where we had the kids could we got the kids through school. I could get up in the gloom and come work out with guys. And that was kind of right. It was kind of that crazy time during COVID too. So you had, we started online workouts, and, all the social distancing stuff we had to do. And, but it really kind of gave me that opportunity to kind of really get in with a bunch of guys that, I didn't know I needed it until I was there.
Yeah.
And there's so many. I'm like the poster child for I was typical sad clown. And I knew I needed something. And it really wasn't much of a spark to get me going. But I really, once I had it, it was like, this is the best thing on earth. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean,
I
and
know
you
I kind of
mentioned
went
in
down
your
a rabbit
bio
hole there, but
no, that's okay. I wanted to get to that because you mentioned in your bio that you thought you were the typical sad clown, and I think that's what you were just describing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So is it the fellowship that kept you coming back? Is that the real draw for you?
It really was. I had the running thing. I had a workout. Other guys have mentioned that too, that or some of them that you're all kind of coming from a different place. But I kind of I had some running friends, but there just weren't those. They weren't those deep relationships. They're very surface level. And a couple of them were some pretty good relationships I had, but it like immediately changed when I started meeting all these other guys, and it really, the fellowship really kind of sucked me in. And it was a faith component to me too. I mean, it was because I remember when I moved to Jacksonville, because we're getting ready to hit 10 years in April. And I remember being here in Jacksonville, and it wasn't long after they had started. I was running past the park and saw these flags, and there was a black F3 flag there. I was like, what is that? And the guy came up to me and said, yeah, man, you should come work out with us. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. And I just kept going. But shoot, now I'm lost. Lost my train of thought. Dang, I lost my train of
Fellowship,
thought. I'm sorry.
running friends weren't.
But the faith, but
Yeah.
it was that kind of that faith component that when I got to it, I thought it was more of a religious organization. And when you look into it, it's in the belief of something bigger than yourself. And majority of us, if not all of us, believe that there's something bigger than us. We're not the center of the universe. There's something bigger out there. And that kind of brought me into, and then it kind of led to deeper understanding of my faith and my kind of where I am in God's plan. And it was just it's great. I'm still not perfect. I still I've got a lot to work on. I'm a flawed individual, but it's man, I feel like I'm so much better now than I was 5 years ago for sure.
Yeah, amen, brother. We're all, as our pastor says, we're all messed up, and that's why we need a savior. That's what grace is about. So
Church is a hospital for broken and injured people, right?
yeah, all of us have something. So so can I assume you're a Christian? Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. I'm Catholic. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I honestly don't know how people get through life without that kind of faith, without knowing the Savior, because outside of that, we're on our own, and honestly, we are messed up. Even if you think you have everything together, you're still, eventually you're going to find out that you're also a sinner, right? And you're messed up. So, and the world, oh my gosh, recently I've been watching some things and reading some things, and I've always known it, but it's really hit me hard recently that humans are just terrible. There's so many awesome people, and there's so many like F3 guys doing so many incredible things. But the truth is that there's always going to be jealousy and mistrust and disloyalty and wars and insecurities and stuff like that. And the only hope is Christ. So in my opinion, that's my faith, and I honestly don't see any other way around it. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right. As far as your leadership, that's what F3 is supposed to be about, right? How has F3 made you a better leader?
Man, I think all the people at work are tired of hearing me say the letters VAPE. It's been great to be able to go through the Q source several times, go through Free to Lead, and bring some of those principles back. And it's been a great kind of training ground to do that. We have a pretty small office, and I don't have a ton of people that report back to me, so it's been kind of fun to kind of throw out some little nuggets of things and see what sticks, and kind of try different things. So that's been pretty interesting. Bring up vaping. Everybody at the office is like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, you have to listen. Just wait.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of fun.
Cool, man.
So I had that, and then
yeah, a vision, man. If you're a leader, you got to have a vision.
That's right.
Yeah, bring people to a place they wouldn't get there otherwise on their own, a place of advantage. Yeah, good stuff, brother. Anything else, Dial Up? Anything else we got to touch on before we ask him our 2 questions?
I was just going to comment, like, you bringing vape into the workplace, right? There's probably some F3 run businesses out there, but like, how cool, like for us, like at our organization, if like the leadership department, right? And we always have it's been renamed a couple hundred times, but like, what if they just took Q Source and then that was their leadership training for the entire organization? Like, how cool would that be? You can lead it.
Awesome.
I'll tell you, it's so sorely needed.
Yeah.
Sorely needed. And experiencing being a leader and being led in our environment, we don't have an agreed upon leadership development program. We don't have that. You can go to leadership conferences and things like that, but it's on your own. You're picking your own kind of stuff, and we have so many positions of leadership throughout our system. But so I personally, I think it's sorely needed. I don't know, Dial. Maybe maybe you can get a hold of the CEO and float that idea to him.
Yeah. Well, we know this guy in HR that we could probably talk to.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, at most organizations, it's not just ours, but there's great leaders and there's not so great leaders. And unfortunately, sometimes leaders get put in their position just because of years of service or connections, whatever it might be. But, if you truly have a good leadership training program, like just think of how much better organizations would run.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, got 2 questions we ask all our guests. I think if you've listened to us before, you know what these questions are. So you probably have a ready answer. The first one is, who's your inspiration, hero, idol? Who do you look up to? Who is it?
Oh man, that really is a tough question. There's a lot of people. And I don't know if I can't narrow it down just to one. When I was a kid, I really looked up to my grandfather. My grandfather was, he was in World War II, had all these experiences and battled through alcoholism through his life. And he and my grandmother stayed together through thick and thin. And at the end of his life, and as he kind of, recovered, was in recovery for alcoholism, he really became a different person. He was very caring. And I remember when I was a kid, when he was battling his addiction, and it wasn't pretty. And I remember, and once he stopped drinking, he was just a different person. He got closer to God. He became very deep um, in love with the Lord, and it was really kind of an amazing thing to see. We'd always we travel to Virginia Beach to go to their house, and every time we'd go there, he'd be sitting there in his chair saying a rosary, and listening to kind of typical 40s, 50s music, records on the record player. So I have this affinity and love for all kind of oldies and music from back then. Always listen to that stuff because it just kind of brings me back to the smells of that house and this, and him being there in that chair. But as I got older, my dad and I think have really gotten much. We've always had a great relationship. Got a great childhood growing up. But I think really, as you kind of get older, you get closer to, at least I did. I have drawn closer to my parents. I guess, you start to realize that, when I hit 50, I was like, man, this is like I'm on the back half now. This is ridiculous. So you think, your mortality starts to set in. And so I got close to, I've been getting close to dad, close to mom. But dad is just, he's so supportive. When we told him we want to start running, and every time he's got all these health issues and bad knees, bad hips, arthritis, and he's just, the time is taking its toll, and he's always a big supporter of wherever my brother and I want to go run, or where I'm going to run, and he's always like, it's just 1 foot in front of the other. He's like, I don't know what you're complaining about, just 1 foot in front of the other. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And so I tell that to all my buddies too. It's like, I don't know what's the problem. It's 1 foot in front of the other. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, just what's happening weather-wise. It's just 1 foot in front of the other. And so he did give me, when I did the 50, the ultra, I went to his house before and I said, look, I want to bring something from you because you can't run. I want to bring something to take with me on the run, so I know that you're there. And so, because I want to bring you on the run with me. And so he gave me, I forgot to get it when I was there, and he mailed it to me, wrote me a handwritten letter, and it was his actually his last dog tag from Vietnam.
Wow.
And so I was like, as soon as I got it, I melted. It was, so touched, and so, I was just overwhelmed. And so I wore it the whole time. And every time I started feeling a little slow or, hurting, I just, touched my chest and, know he was there and drew inspiration from it. So it was super cool. So yeah,
Nice.
Dad and grandfather.
Awesome, man. Generational.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
A World War II vet and a Vietnam vet, right?
Yep. Great guys. Yep.
Yeah. All right, brother. This is your last chance well, not your last chance. This is your chance to speak to the men of America.
Oh, no.
May not be your last chance. What is your message for the men of America?
So there's been one quote that I've read and I've kept in my head for years. And I grew up when I lived in Raleigh in 1980, in the early 80s. It was all about college basketball. Carolina had won the tournament in 82. Oh, you guys are sports fans too. State won in 83. I was hooked with NC State.
Yeah.
And a big Jimmy V fan. So my words to the nation are: don't give up. Don't ever give up. You got to keep fighting. I mean, there's always going to be demons out there. There's always going to be something after you, that little devil on your shoulder that says, don't get up. It's warm in bed. Just stay here. But it's okay sometimes, especially when your wife wants you to stay and stay in the bed. But don't listen to that devil. Get up there and and get after it. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. You can ask anybody down here. If your guys work at all hours of the night, if they want to go run, I'll be up at. It doesn't matter. Let's just go run and get after it. No excuses. But yeah, just don't give up. There's guys out here, no matter what you're going through. There's guys, somebody else that's going through it. We're all traveling through this world together, and just reach out and just keep fighting.
Yep. All right. Never give up. Dial up. Never, never, never give up. That was a quote.
Yeah, it still gives me goosebumps.
Winston Churchill. And then Jimmy V saying, "Don't
Jimmy
give up.
V.
Don't ever give up."
Yeah.
Perseverance. Those who persevere will get the crown, brother. All right. Well, Dial Up, I think we just spoke to another high impact man.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Mr. Woodchuck.
We're honored to be in the presence of one of the nation's SLT.
Yeah. Honor's mine, fellas. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Weasel Shaker, the coolest name in all of SLT.
That is pretty cool. That is a pretty cool name. I kind of want to be one. I kind of want to be a Weasel Shaker.
Fun.
I don't know if I'd be good at it, but I'd like to be a Weasel Shaker just so I have the name.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. I can't do the weasel shaking spreadsheets though. So
yeah, that's it takes a little work.
That's why I'm not the Weasel Shaker ever.
I started as the Weasel Shaker. I'm still the Weasel Shaker almost 5 years later.
Are you really? That's great.
I wear two hats, Nantan and Weasel Shaker.
Yeah, he keeps track.
Small little region.
He does.
He keeps track.
I enjoy keeping track of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody does it. Otherwise, we'd have no idea how many people, how many posts you've had and that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, we'll keep shaking weasels, man.
That's right. Sir. Great having you on, brother. Take care.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Same here, brothers.
Yep. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I would like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their story of becoming a high impact man. More information and resources can be found at highimpactman.com. If you like this podcast, please consider following us on our social media pages or email us at him@highimpactman.com. That is HIM@highimpactman.com. The High Impact Man podcast has a new episode every week, and you can find them on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast platforms. Have a great week, everyone.